Space, the final frontier. These are the stories from JD the Nerd. His mission, to tell you about news in nerd culture. To talk about all things nerd. This is Nerdout. Sup, dudes? JD here. And today is a Monday, and that means Nerdouts. And also, it's my birthday. No, please, stop. You're too kind. I'm just kidding. There's no live studio audience. That'd be great. But anywho, today on this episode, what we have for you, or what I have for you, is a debate that's been going on in nerd culture since the dawn of time. Or the dawn of DC Comics, at least. Actually, the dawn of Marvel Comics. Okay, now, it doesn't matter. It's a debate that is just swept across the nerd population, swallowing up people, ruining friendships, and that is Marvel vs. DC. We'll get into that, but first, I want to bring you into this bit that I just created about 5 minutes ago when I was just sitting on the toilet thinking of things to do today. Okay, so the Picks of the Month is a series where I take the two best comic books, or my favorite, or the most anticipated, and I present them to you, humbly, myself, and I tell you what I thought, whatever. Also, it doesn't actually have to be the best, it could be the worst, so, yeah, there you go. The first one I have for you today is Thanos Rising. Thanos was the guy at the end of the Avengers who kind of, smiled at the camera very creepily. Breaking the fourth wall, not a big deal, we've seen it in Deadpool before. So this is the book that explains how Thanos became one of the worst Marvel villains. And when I say worst, I don't mean like bad quality-wise, I mean he's just bad, like evil. In fact, he's better than Krispy Kreme, who's better than them all. I'm not sure how many books are in this series. This is the first one. The next one should be coming out May sometime. Not sure exactly when, the next Wednesday, first Wednesday in May, whenever Wednesday in May it is. Anywho, the comic shop that I go to sold out of them. I bought the first one, thank God, and then he sold out of them instantly. Went back the next day, had no more, so I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get one if you want one. But it's a good book, so if you can have your comic dealer back order them or do whatever so that you can get them, do it. I would recommend it. So the next book I have for you today is a book by IDW. IDW Publishing just released this Aliens vs. Zombies. Or Zombies vs. Aliens. It's the new series, The Colonized. I did enjoy it, I must say. It is a good book. Not sure how far this series is going to go, but I think it's worth it. If your comic shop still has one, you should pick it up and read it and give it a shot, because I think that's pretty worth it. Alright, let's get into our debate now about Marvel vs. DC. I have several categories that we will go over between the popular vote, between non-nerds, people who just like to watch the movies and everything, the popular vote between nerds, and then superpowers between heroes clashing in a fanboy face-off. Let's crack your knuckles, let's go. Okay, so the first category I would like to go into is the population of people who watch the movies and don't read the comics. So you could say non-nerds. As we're seeing with the release of the Avengers, Marvel is growing a very big population of people who are viewing these movies. And also with the release of Iron Man 3, The Wolverine, and Thor 2 coming in 2013, which is actually this year, we're also seeing a very great population of people anticipating these movies. But what does DC have to compare to that? Back on Beantown Studios, I went over this before between the Avengers versus The Dark Knight Rises, and what I thought about them. Me, I like a good Batman flick, and not like Adam West Batman. That's a little bit too corny for me. I'm talking about the Christopher Nolan Batmans. These Batman movies are extraordinary, and they do have a large population of people who have gotten into Batman due to these movies. With the release of Man of Steel coming sometime in May or June or sometime this year, we're also seeing now a group of people who are going to watch the new Superman. So it's not a very hard choice in my opinion. With the Avengers becoming one of the most top-grossing movies in history, I'm going to have to give it to Marvel. But what about with the nerd population and the comics? What I've seen is that more people prefer the DC comics over the Marvel. I've also noticed that in comic shops, there's a lot more DC comics released every week. Does this mean that more people like DC over Marvel? No, it doesn't mean that, but it does show that DC is making enough money to release more comics. If you've ever watched the show The Big Bang Theory, you can obviously tell that these group of nerds do prefer DC over Marvel. Don't get me wrong, I'm not making them the reason that DC is winning in this category, but I'm going to give this category to DC, quite honestly. Alright, well thank you for watching. It's been a Nerd Out. Please subscribe. Next week, we will be continuing this debate with heroes versus heroes. So, join the nerds and subscribe, and stay epic, my friends.